Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite paranormal investigator here. My name is Tim Sudano. This is Paranormal Insight, and today we're talking with Mr. Lee. That is Mr. Lee Hatfield with the SIPA, a paranormal investigative service in Canada. But that's me. I got to turn off my phone so it doesn't buck us throughout the whole thing. But one of the things I was on Lee's show recently, and I think it'll air soon. Lee will tell you all about that in a second, but or at the end of the show rather. But one of the great things about Lee is he's also a fellow paranormal investigator, and so we kind of connected on that level more than anything. I did not know he was a fellow service member. I was U.S. Air Force. He was RAF, Royal Air Force, and he's originally from England. So, well, I'll tell you what, without further ado, let's just bring him on here. I should also mention, he continued to serve, which I find absolutely admirable. He not only was he Royal Air Force, he was in the fire service and the paramedic. He just kept helping people. And my suspicion is that the SIPA organization that is a continuation of that service of people. But I've talked long enough. Let's bring him on board. I didn't mean to do that thing. There's Lee.
Hi, everybody.
I cannot hit the buttons right today to save my life. And there he is.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for being on the show.
Not a problem. Happy to be here.
So I told everyone about your service. Thank you for that service and the continuing service for the bulk of your career in life, from what I understand. When you got out, you kind of sort of went back in. We were talking about it just before we went on. Do you want to tell everyone that short little tidbit?
Sure. So I'm a little bit old. So I was born when everything was in black and white, back in the 60s. I think Tim's not quite my age, but anyway, I joined I joined the Royal Air Force in 1985 in England, and I served 6.5 years. I served as I was in the catering part of the service. I technically saw active service, but it technically wasn't because I was sent down to the Falklands after the war. But it was still deemed to be a war zone, even though there was no activity. But after doing 6.5 years, I decided that was enough, and I wanted to do something different. And simply because a station duty that we had to do was to be part of the military fire department for a week at a time as part of the station duty. So I really got involved with that and loved it so much that I decided that I was going to come out the military and join the civilian fire department. So that I did, and I started off being a volunteer. I did that for a few years, and then I had the opportunity to go back to the RAF station that I worked as in the military, but as a civilian firefighter. So I did that for 4 to 5 years.
Good.
And being a firefighter on a military establishment, you don't get many incidents. And I think we had like five incidents in 5 years.
Oh, so, gosh. Wow. That's great.
It was very quiet. So it was then that I decided that I was going to change direction again. And I applied to dozens of different ambulance services around the country. The first one I was successful with was in London, obviously the capital, and I worked down there for 2 years before transferring back to closer to my neck of the woods. And I served from 2002 to 2013 as a paramedic, and then decided to marry a Canadian, move over to Canada, and unfortunately, there was too many hoops to jump through. They wanted to charge me for exams and all that kind of stuff. So now I work for local government.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Now, when you were in the paramedic service, your bio reveals an interesting little tidbit. It was kind of your first paranormal experience. Why don't you tell us about that?
No, I don't want to. Okay,
Okay,
I'll
well,
tell
okay,
you.
fine. Let's move on.
Okay, okay. So yeah, I was working at a place called Oakham, which is about 2 hours from my hometown of Boston. Now, Boston in England, not Boston in the US.
Massachusetts. Gotcha.
Let's get that out there. And I was working a night shift. My regular crewmate had gone sick, so I got a relief, a replacement in, and young guy. So we're just talking about the normal stuff as you do with a new person. Yeah, what talking about the weather, talking about football, not soccer, football,
Gotcha.
and all those normal things. We then got the first call of the evening, which was to a cardiac arrest.
Mm.
So, with me being the paramedic in charge, we turn up on scene, and we both of us have set things that we have to do. So we're taking it in turns doing in CPR, and then you do the bag and masks and all that kind of thing. So I'm doing CPR to give the guy a break, and he went, "You can stop doing CPR." And I went, "What do you mean? You can like I'm the paramedic in charge, sort of like I can tell you to stop, but you can't tell me to stop." He went, "Oh, the spirit of the patient stood behind you and telling you that you can stop because you don't want to come back." And I'm like, "I'm
Wow.
sorry, what?" He goes, "Yeah, the patient stood behind you." And I'm like, okay. With all due respect, can you please tell the patient that I have a job to do
Yeah.
and I can't legally stop until I've done X, Y, and Z?" So he goes, "Oh no, the patient's okay with that." And I'm like, okay. So yeah,
The
the
psychics,
patient
man, they're fun.
the patient didn't make it.
Mm.
So we did all what we had to do with paperwork and helping the family out and that kind of stuff. Got back on the ambulance and I'm going, "Dude, you don't tell me in the middle of a cardiac arrest that the frigging patient is stood behind me giving me score marks out of 10." I'm like, "It's just not the done thing. You just don't like." He goes, "Well, yeah, I had to let you know that the patient was there." I went, "You could have told me afterwards, not in the middle of the." Yeah, so it's like, and that kind of blew my mind. And it's sort of like I was quizzing him for the rest of the night. So, how many spirits have you seen? What do you see? What do you hear? And all this. And it's like we never got any like break that night. It was like bombarding this guy with questions, and I went, if we get any more spirits stood behind me while I'm doing my job, please let me know."
Oh man. So you didn't actually physically see anything, just the psychic guy you were with saw it all.
Yeah,
Okay. Gotcha.
exactly. Yeah.
Um and now tell us about SIPA and what it stands for and how it started.
Okay, so SIPA Canada, or Scientific Investigation of Paranormal Activity Canada, was created in end of February, beginning of March 2024.
Oh,
So
rather recently. Okay.
rather recent, yes. So I was actually part of a previous group that unfortunately weren't very active, and
Mm.
my two colleagues were in a similar situation with another group. And it was close to Valentine's Day of last year, and my wife goes, "Oh, do you want to go on this ghost investigation about half an hour away?" And I went, "Sure." She went, "Okay, I bought you a ticket." It's like Valentine's Day, I go by myself. So, okay then. So we turn up, and I notice that these guys have got a couple of gadgets, and I hadn't got much at that time, but I'd got a couple of things, and I starts talking to them, and they were demonstrating these gadgets to the entire investigation team, and it was in an old,
Mm.
I call it a museum, but it's not a museum in the normal sense of the word. What it was, they used to pick up old buildings from the local area, put them all together in one field like a small village. So you had
Oh.
like a hall, you had like a school, you had like a train station, that kind of thing, and they kind of created their own like little village. So we're walking around and doing all the, and I was quite impressed with what these guys were doing. So I said, "Can we have a chat at the end?" And they both went, "Yeah, sure." So at the end of the investigation, I explained to them who I was and what I wanted to do, and we decided to meet in a pub a couple of weeks later, and SIPA got created that particular night. We decided, I really can't remember. We were throwing different words about what kind of name we can have, and we wanted for it to be scientific based, which I'll get into in a second. But we wanted to help people, so we finally turned up with scientific investigation of paranormal activity. But because there was a soccer club somewhere in South America that's got the same word SIPA, then we put SIPA Canada. We put Canada at the end, just so that people didn't think that we were affiliated to the soccer club. But one of the things that we decided one of the things that we decided to do was to do things by the book per se. So what I mean by that is, if you call us to your house to say that you've got paranormal activity, then we will check for electromagnetic fields, we will check for black mold, we will check for like radiation, we will check for rodents, we will check for anything that could be of a natural phenomena, a natural nature, before we even think about anything paranormal. And then once we do that, we then can switch hats, put the paranormal hat on, and then we have gadgets and devices that we can communicate with. If of course that spirits do exist, because the paranormal is a pseudoscience. So until we get a ghost in a scientific lab to prove its existence, a lot of experiences are only of personal nature. So it's very difficult to prove their existence. But some of the experiences we can go into later. But so we decided that we wanted to help people. So we would, if you call us out and say that you've got what you think is paranormal activity, before we even get to the investigation, we've got a 9-page questionnaire. So it's that
beats my 40 questions, but yeah.
It's that long for two reasons. Number one, if you're genuine in what your causes or your suspicions are, then if you want us to help you, then you're going to take your time. We will help you. If you call us and say, "Can you help fill it in?" we'll come and help you by all means. So we will actually help you fill the form in. But we go into quite deep questions like, are you on any medication? Have you had any mental health issues? And all that kind of stuff. And we really do go deep into, so we get a full picture of what we're walking into before we actually investigate.
That's admirable. I mean, 9 pages that's extensive. That's great. I covered a lot of what you mentioned in those 40 questions, but I still take more of a leap, I guess is the best way to put it when I say yes to an investigation, in that I want to see for myself if they have wiring or plumbing issues or rodents or whatever, or any of these other more mundane explanations that could explain these potential paranormal things. So I'll say yes, I'll go in and dig around their attic. I've done it before, and I can't tell you how many times I've been disappointed to find out, it's pipes that are, the fittings that anchor it to the wall have come loose, and every time the hot water turns on, anyway. Good times.
And there's one reason why I wanted to do that particular way. Being in the paramedic service in the fire service, I've been in scenarios where I've walked into an apartment and then I've heard the door click behind me and the lock go on, and it's like, right, I'm now going to hold you hostage until my psychiatrist comes.
Oh, gotcha.
So
okay.
That was kind of at the forefront of my mind when I was going through a lot of these potential questions. It's not like an essay some of the spaces are quite big for your answers. So even though it's 9 pages, it's not like 5,000 questions. It's probably 40, but it gives you space to answer them. So even though it says 9 questions, yeah. And we have sent it to a couple of people that have said, "Oh, you've got," but then crickets. We don't hear anything. So it's like, are you really sure what you was experiencing? Because you haven't got back to us. And if you're not that confident of what it is, and you read all this, it's like, yeah, maybe I'm not going to bother going into this.
Mm-hmm. No, that's clever. That's smart. I can definitely appreciate that. And you're not the only team who operates that thoroughly. And myself included. Again, I don't have 12 pages or 9 pages. Or how many pages? 9?
9.
9 pages, but you leave space for answers, so you probably have a similar number of questions I do. I just ask them on the phone or in person if I'm so inclined, and then fill it out myself. And it's okay. Let's get back to you. But let's see. Looking over your bio, I just want to see if I missed anything.
It's a very short one. I had 5 minutes to type it.
No worries. I put him on the spot. I said, "Where's your bio?"
Yeah, 10 minutes before he came online, they start like, "Oh, okay."
It's like, "Oh, I missed the email. Darn it! Here's the bio."
Yeah. I've got smoke coming off the keyboard.
That's okay. No, you did fine. So you have been doing this since 2024, relatively short. No, but you were part of another group before that. That's right. So I get asked this all the time. I think you even asked me this. What was the case that stood out the most? Is there a case that stands out the most? It's like you always tell this story and it never gets old, kind of a thing.
Well, the paramedic story is my case. Yeah, that happened in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But I was telling the story on another podcast where, when I was a kid, we were walking down the riverbank and walking towards the factory, and I saw this figure in the window. But I was like 5 or 6. I was with my siblings, so when we actually arrived at the factory, there was no transport. It was like a railway, maintenance yard. So it was very difficult to know if what we saw was a human or something else. But looking around the factory, there was no way to get in it. It was all boarded up. So what we saw at the window was like the outline of head, shoulders, torso. But when we got there was no way to get in unless you had found a secret way in that we couldn't see. But it was like an old factory, so it had doors, it had windows, but they was all kind of boarded up. And then we saw this figure. So would that have been my first paranormal experience? I was too young to really know, but when I was on a different podcast, it kind of came back into my mind. So potentially, yes. But for a long period of time, I was the most skeptic person going. Yeah. And I'm also a rational person, but working in the military and stuff like that, if you see lights in the sky, you automatically go into your default, the Royal Air Force are doing night flying, or it's a meteorite, or or a shooting star, or whatever. So I never really believed, if you like, in the paranormal. I was always a skeptic. And in my hometown in England, we have a big church that's like 300 feet high that you can kind of go up the tower. And back in the day, before you and I were born, a lady threw herself off the tower and got the name of the Grey Lady. And people always used to say that the Grey Lady was, you could see her falling from a distance, or you could see her walking around or laying on the ground. But I always used to go past this church on a regular basis, hoping that I would see something. Because my mentality was, okay, you may have a ghost story. I don't have a ghost story, but I want to experience what you see. I want to see it for myself. Yeah, and I want to hear it for myself. I'll go through all that experience. So I was quite like shut off to it for a long period of time. I used to watch some of the UK versions of ghost hunting channels and shows and stuff like that. But it was really weird because when I moved to Canada, and this obviously started to blow up, more teams coming available, more people, modern technology and all that. But I never used to watch any of the paranormal shows. I don't know if it was because I did not believe them, or if there was something in the back of my mind that scared me about them. But as soon as I've always had an interest in the paranormal, but I never really did much about it. But then once I started getting involved in it and doing a lot of research and a lot of reading and all that, I watch every single show now. And it's really weird how I never watched a single show, but now I watch them all. And some of them you just go, oh my God.
Oh, I know. Dude, I face palm on a lot of those things all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
It's like, something fell off the kitchen table. Yeah, but you only see half of it. Or that door opens. Okay, what's behind the door?
Exactly.
You never get to see what's behind the door.
Exactly. No one ever.
Exactly. So I was always very skeptical of a lot of these things. But now I just open my arms and embrace it completely.
Yeah, that's true. So since joining your first group before SIPA, did you actually fulfill, maybe you answered this already, did you actually fulfill that need to see something for yourself that you can't explain?
No, actually.
Okay.
That was actually fulfilled. Maybe, what are we now? We're middle of August, so 2 months ago.
Okay.
As recent as that.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, you want me to tell you? Oh, funny. So,
yes, please. We're on a dog show after all.
Yeah, I was just talk like this. So,
it's like, let's pause and we'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So 2 months ago, the three of us, me and my two colleagues, Logan and Valter, and myself, we had an early boys weekend away for my birthday, which was at the end of June.
Nice.
So we went to a small place called Casanova, which is in New York State. It's about an hour, 2 hours over the border from Canada.
Okay.
We went to a really oldie worldy Scottish hotel called the Brit in Casanova, and this place has got a really good reputation. And there's been many stories from various people, and some TV shows have been there too. So there was reports that there were two haunted rooms out of most of them. So we decided to book both of them for a Saturday night and a Sunday night.
Okay.
And I was in one room, and the other two guys were sharing the other room, and we're setting up cameras in my room. And in the corner, there was a cabinet with a TV on, and it had wooden doors with just a normal wooden latch that you just move the latch and the cupboard door opens. When none of the three of us are anywhere near it, and we're setting up tripods and things, and all of a sudden, this door creaks open by itself. So it's like, okay, nobody's got a camera on. Lesson learned. Make sure you get a camera on when you start setting up. Yeah. And then
Yep.
We looked at each other and went, no, did that just happen? And we thought, okay, it must have been loose. So we put the latch back, we banged on the table, we banged on the side of it, we banged on the floor. We could not get this latch to disengage, no matter how close. And it was millimeters attached to before it opened. And we could still not get this to disengage. And we were working on this for like 15, 20 minutes, putting this little latch in many different ways and directions, and we could not get it to disengage. Was that paranormal? big question mark.
Yeah.
We can't say yes, we can't say no. But then the first night, I think it was, one of my guys was doing a solo, and me and the other guy, Logan, were looking at the NVR in a different room. And we have a little thing that we do where we have some VR goggles, and there's an app that you can use, and allegedly the spirits are able to form pictures on this app, and you see it through VR goggles. Yeah, if that actually works, it's we don't know, but at least it's fun to try just to see if any of the pictures that come out relate to the investigation. If you get a picture of sausages and you're in a hotel, the chances are it's not really related unless you're talking about breakfast. But so we always put these kind of things to the test. And he was doing a solo. He'd got his headset, his headphones on, listening to the spirit box as well. And then all of a sudden we saw this. I'm not a fan of orbs. I'm a disbeliever of orbs. But we had this like little ball kind of come down in the corner of the screen of one of the cameras. So it's like, what the hell was that? And we let him finish doing his solo. He did it for like half an hour. So we then thought, okay, let's stop what we're doing. We need to find out what this was. So there was no open windows. So it wasn't like a leaf or anything because it got air conditioning units built in.
Sure.
There was no bugs in the room. We haven't seen a single bug through the entire day. And if it had been like a moth or anything, we'd have seen it flying around the room during the evening because we were in that room from like 6 p.m. to like 2 a.m. We didn't see any other insects flying around. We thought, well, was it a fleck of paint from the ceiling? But there was nothing on the floor, and we could not find anything of what it was.
Let me ask you regarding that. Did you say this thing had a bit of size to it compared to a fleck of paint or a bug?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And
about how big could you perceive it?
Because we were watching it on camera,
it's tough,
and we was in a different room, but from the camera angle, I would probably this. It was big.
Oh, okay.
But then it was also transparent, and it also looked like it was as it came halfway down, it was splitting into two. We've actually got footage of it on the camera.
Oh, we gotta see that one these days.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely send you it for sure. But we could not debunk it because we stopped literally doing the investigation because we had to find out what this was.
Yeah.
And we wrapped our brains, like I say, we more than once went back to, was it a bug? Was it a moth? So we were shaking curtains. We were looking behind the curtains. We were moving things to see if the moth had landed anywhere. But there was nothing. No insects, nothing. And it's sort of like, if it had been a fleck of paint from the ceiling, there would be evidence in the ceiling and evidence on the floor. And there was nothing.
Right.
And even if we thought, well, was it something that was closer to the camera that had fallen? So we were literally on our hands and knees checking because it was a wooden floor, but it had small mats. So we were checking really we were scrutinizing it to see if we could find anything, and we could not find anything. So that was. I like it.
I like it when investigations go that weird direction. It's like you haven't even started the investigation really, and
that's it. And then that was the second thing. On the first night, we went down into the bar, and we had full run of this entire hotel.
Nice.
So there were people sleeping upstairs, but the owner, she loves the paranormal, and she went, "Yeah, once the bar's closed, if you want to come down and spend the night down here, help yourself."
Free beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, the bar was closed, but you did get a tot of whiskey when you walked through the door to welcome you, so that was cool.
That's always good.
If you drink whiskey, I don't, but yeah. So we were in the we're in the bar, and you kind of got a long corridor where the bar was, and then there was a small kitchen, behind some chairs and stuff on a wall.
Yeah.
But it was no longer used. They'd got a bigger kitchen now, but that was only used if there was functions on and stuff like that. And we could hear noise in the kitchen. There was no kitchen staff, no bar staff. Everybody had gone to bed. We were the only people downstairs. We could hear things in the kitchen. We could hear movement, like it was a human moving. One of my friends saw what he thought was a shadow. But of course, when you look, it disappears. So that was unexplained. And then what finally put the icing on the cake, on the second night, we'd done an investigation till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. We thought, okay, we haven't had much happening for the last couple of hours. Let's knock it on the head. We've got to drive back to Canada in the morning. Let's have an early-ish night, but it was still 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Gotcha.
So I'm in this 4-poster bed, and it got the old blankets on it rather than the modern day duvet kind of thing.
Sure.
So I get into bed, and that every night people do it. They kind of find out what's the most comfortable position. They get comfortable, and then they kind of just relax, and then you feel the blankets kind of settle because you've stopped moving. You've caused gaps. So the blanket. Yeah. So I felt that. Didn't think anything of it. And then, no word of a lie, about 30 seconds to a minute later, bearing in mind I'd only been in bed like no more than 2 or 3 minutes, I felt a heavy sensation on the bed, like somebody literally sat on the edge of the bed. And it was a heavy sensation. And I thought, well, did one of the guys walk in the room? But I thought, well, no, because the door's locked. Opened my eyes, and I just saw this white thing go past my left peripheral vision. I kind of like, what the hell? As I knew that my phone was on the bedside cabinet, I kind of moved to grab my phone, and it was gone. But it was like a white. The only thing that I can kind of explain it was that it looked like somebody had got a white piece of card walking past the bed, because it was like a white. And it's like,
and
okay.
Did it disappear into the wall behind you, or?
No, so the door was kind of at the side. Then you've got your bed and the TV where the cabinet was that moved was at the front, and it just literally walked down the left-hand side of the bed and then just dissipated.
Oh, crazy!
So I'm like, and again, I have
wake everyone up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we were the only ones staying in the hotel that night as well. Just these two rooms. All the other guests had gone home because they did like Friday, Saturday night. So we did Saturday, Sunday because we were looking on the schedule because you can see what rooms are available, and nobody had booked in on Sunday, so we did the Saturday, Sunday instead.
That's awesome.
So that I can't explain that either.
That's pretty cool. That's a neat experience.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. So it's fun when those types of things are fun. A little terrifying at the same time. But especially when you're awakened by someone sitting on your bed and then this thing goes flying by out. But at the same time, I mean, as an investigator, you must have, at one moment, that hat must have just landed on your head as far as being an investigator.
Exactly.
I got to document this. And then
I got asked a question middle of the week when I was interviewing some guys from the US. And they said, how did you sleep? And I went, like a baby. Like, okay, great. Okay, yeah, I've seen you. I can go to sleep now. And like, boom.
The haunting is over for the night.
That's it, yeah. So that's probably the most active location that we've ever been to.
Okay, that's great. And the owner's into paranormal investigators coming in, so make a note of that, everyone. So maybe if you're up that way.
it's a really weird location because, like I say, it's very oldie worldy. It's got a Scottish theme to it. The family have got Scottish heritage,
Yeah.
and there's an old wooden staircase that kind of curls down. So it comes like curves down, and at the bottom of the staircase there's a big black door. Now this black door has been boarded up on the other side for the last 40 or 50 years. And if you come off the stairs
Okay.
and you walk down the corridor and turn left, it's opened up into like a dining room area. But
Okay.
the host, the owner, was saying that about a year or so ago, maybe 2 years, somebody was coming down the stairs. The black door was open, and there was a black tie event going on in that room. And they were looking for the owner to actually, to have something in the room. So they went, oh, the owner may be at this black tie function. We'll come and find her later. So they turned around and went back up again, not wanting to disrupt this black tie because the door was open. They saw people in tuxedos and eating and all this kind of stuff. So I thought, we won't barge in because we've got shorts and T-shirts or whatever. We didn't want to disrupt the party. Went back up to the room, came down a couple of hours later and said to saw the host and went, oh, did you enjoy the party? What party? She went, the black tie dinner that was in the... She went, what are you talking about? She went, oh, that black door was open. She goes, the black door's been boarded up for like 40, 50 years. What are you talking about? And they'd literally seen, like, I don't know if you want to call it a time slip or whatever, through the black door of an event that had happened way, way in the past. And apparently that's happened twice at that location.
Oh, that's crazy. Did they see the same event? These two different witnesses?
She didn't really go into any details about the second one, but the first one. But it was a similar kind of occurrence where they came down the stairs and they saw an event going on through that black door that's been boarded up.
So what's supposed to be behind the black door in the first place? Is it nothing?
Well,
is it storage?
It used to be a separate room, but they kind of knocked it through from the other. So you basically go past the black door, go down maybe 10 feet, and then you can turn left and go into and it's a elongated room. So there must have been like a wall there at one point, and it was two separate rooms, but they knocked it into one. But yeah, they could literally see some black tie event going on when.
Oh, that's great! That's awesome. I love stuff like that. That's great.
Yeah. So it's like, how can you explain that to somebody?
Yeah.
Because like it was two people that saw it as well. Yeah. So you got witness. Yeah.
Oh,
one witness.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think when I think of that, when I hear that story, I'm reminded of the Telly Savalas story. I've told it on this show before. Do you know about the Telly Savalas story?
I don't. Please enlighten me.
Okay, so at the risk of repeating myself on my own show, Telly Savalas at one point was in Chicago. You're late. I'm into it now.
Yeah.
So he was in Chicago for a show or a movie or a television episode of a show. Maybe this was after Kojak, but anyway. So he's driving along and he has to get back into town from where he was shooting. I think he's going back to his hotel. And it's kind of a lonely... Illinois is set up weird, especially if you're just outside of Chicago. It turns into the sticks really quick. Countryside, big tall trees everywhere, orchards, farmland, the whole thing. So he's driving down this really lonely lane, it's pretty much covered by trees, and he sees this hitchhiker, and he pulls over, picks him up, and the hitchhiker says, "Can you take me to my house?" and gives the cross street in town. But he has that really high voice, like something's wrong. And Telly doesn't really dive into why this guy's talking like that, but says, yeah, sure, no problem. They have a nice little conversation, and the gentleman informs him that, he's going back to his mom's place, and that something to do with estate, something or other, I don't know. And some estate business was going on, so he had to get back to his mother. And he pulls up, he gets into town, pulls up, drops this gentleman off, and he looks to see if he's clear, and he looks back, and as the door closes, there's no sign of this gentleman he picked up. You probably know where the story's going, but I digress. So he continues on to his business, goes to his hotel. He has a late call. He pulled the following day, so he pulls up back to this house at this cross street, and he gets out and he knocks on the door, and this elderly lady answers. And he says, yeah, I'm inquiring about, I think he got the guy's name, it was like Charlie or something like that. And I'm inquiring after Charlie. I gave him a ride. He must have just jetted into the house because I didn't see him. Who? Charlie, I think his name was. Charlie's been dead for 40 years. What do you mean you saw Charlie? And it turns out Charlie, and the reason he was talking like this is because he was beheaded in a car accident.
Wow.
As the mother tells the story about what happened to Charlie. Says, yeah, he was on his way home, and then he got in this accident and got beheaded. It was horrible. But he couldn't have an open casket for him. But, I mean, the spirit translated the injury, which I thought was kind of interesting. You know, it's like, he had to talk like this. So, I don't know. It's an intriguing story.
Oh, I love stories like that. Absolutely. And I will quiz people to the end. Like, I've had some people on my podcast. I've had some people, and it's like, right, and I want to know everything. So I like, tell me the full conversation from start to finish. I want to know what he was wearing. I want to, facial.
That's something he mentioned, actually. Yeah. That's something he mentioned, actually, was the clothing looked old, like at least 50 years old. So he was done up. He was dressed in the nines, but I mean, for 50 years ago, it wasn't a tux or anything. It was a nice suit. But that was interesting.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because, like I say, on Paranormal Chronicles, I try to get as many different people from all aspects of the paranormal on the show. And I've been speaking to a demonologist. I've spoken to somebody who talks about fairies. I've had somebody about poltergeist, and I love hearing these individual stories because that's what the paranormal is all about. People's personal stories about what they've experienced. And once they find out that you're in the job, so to speak, they come out of the woodwork. They really do. I had a guy message me at work on the work communication network and go, Lee, you got a minute? Can I call you? Yeah, sure. I want to tell you, I was driving home from a hockey game last night at 1:00 in the morning, and I saw this woman dressed in a white dress with a black hat on, and I went, okay, so what kind of area was it? Well, there are a couple of buildings, but she shouldn't have been there. It was like an old dark road that no lighting, nothing. She went, it was weird. And I went, well, what makes you think it was paranormal? Well, I'm not quite sure, but I thought you might know. So like, what? Just because some random person's walking down? She goes, but it was an old dress. It didn't look like a modern dress. So I immediately thought of you and thought I must message you at work the next day. It's like, I wasn't there, dude. I can't solve that. I can't like have a magic wand and go, there you go, here's your answer. I
want answers, Lee. What happened? Yeah. What was it?
Exactly. It was funny.
Excuse me. Oh man, yeah, that happens to me a lot too. I think is the less description a potential client gives, or some rando on the street who just happens to know you, or even a friend, a relative acquaintance, they'll say, so I saw this thing and it kind of floated like this and then it disappeared. What was it? I was like, wow.
That was a category 2 spirit. There's a category 2 spirit.
Want some Ghostbusters categorization. It's kind of
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh man.
I'm gonna classify a full roaming vapor. That's what you had right there. Oh man, yeah. People can be really strange. Like I said, it's almost comical. The more nebulous the description, it's like thing did the sort of thing, and the one just saying the thing throughout the whole description. It's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's really weird because the strangest stories come from people that you've known for a while and just did not want to say anything because they didn't want to be ridiculed. Yeah. And I've had some people come up to me and went,
yeah.
I'm going to tell you about this thing. I want you to give me your opinion. Not I've seen the ghost. I want you to give me your opinion. And it's very interesting.
Yeah. This thing happened to my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, oh, sure, that's a lot of detail from your friend.
It's like my niece, who unfortunately is no longer with us.
I'm sorry.
She had mediumistic tendencies, and my sister, after she had passed, was saying, oh yeah, she used to see. She got like a spirit guide, and she saw my mum, her grandmother, after she had passed, and stuff like that. And it's like you always kind of find these tidbits of information out after you can no longer ask that person the questions.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That happened between me and my grandfather on my mom's side. I have the strongest suspicion he had psychic abilities and that he even foresaw his own death, among other things, because there was this moment just before he passed where he took aside me and my cousin, with the exception of another cousin who was living in Hawaii at the time. We were the only two boys in the family, in the immediate family anyway. And so he took us aside and said, listen, when my time comes, and this is coming out of the blue because he's relatively healthy, even, given he's in his late 70s, early 80s. I can't remember what it was. But he says, I have these rings that mean a lot to me. And he described that one was his grandmother's wedding ring, which he wore in his pinky, and the other one was this amethyst ring that his grandfather gave his grandmother. Oh no, I'm sorry, that his father gave his mother as a anniversary gift or something like that, and she had passed. And so he inherited these rings. He liked wearing jewelry in general. And I'm not a jewelry guy, but I mean, for him, I'd listen to the whole story. And he says, when I die, you guys are going to have to fight over these rings. And then
just hiding my rings, that was all.
Exactly, pretty much. It's like, okay, I'll choose a little one. And that worked for my cousin. Okay, I'll take the amethyst. Fantastic. And it struck me that it literally came out of nowhere. He just called us over. We were outside this big family barbecue, and he called us over, and he tells us a story, and I follow him. He doesn't join the rest of us. He has a sad look in his eyes, and he walks off to the sliding door that led into the back part of the house. And I stop him. I said, I was kind of starting to get into the paranormal back then. And I said, Grandpa, did you have a vision about your death? And I asked him that point blank, and I regretted it immediately because he got this sorrowful look in his eyes. He was on the verge of crying, and I stopped him, and I said, Grandpa, it's okay. If you don't want to tell me, I have no right to ask. And he did I get he was always just kind of a tough individual, always. Not that he was mean, but, stern. And he does one of the most tenderest things in the world. He puts his hand on my shoulder, gives me one of these, and kind of half smiles. And again, he's on the edge of tears and walks into the house. And that just blew me away. And I was convinced from that moment on that my grandfather had some sort of psychic ability.
That's really interesting.
But hey, I'm supposed to be doing the questions here.
But the thing is, though, when you're interviewing somebody, it always reminds you about something that happened to you, and you kind of always try to bring it into the conversation. Because while we were talking,
Guilty.
yeah, while you were talking, it kind of, for some random reason, you mentioned earlier that we're both Air Force. But when I was in the military, I went to an officers' mess, and they had paintings of significant people throughout history that was involved with the Royal Air Force, and one of them was of a person called Douglas Bader, and I don't know if you know who he is, but he was
Rings a bell.
he was a renowned fighter pilot. He lost both legs. He was played by Kenneth Moore in a movie. Can't remember what the movie was called, but he still went back to fight as a pilot with false legs.
Okay. Wow.
And there was a painting of him in this officer's mess, and there was a shape of a face. So his picture was here, and then there was like a ghostly face, and they've taken it down numerous times. They've tried to clean the picture. They've examined it. There's nothing behind it. As soon as they take it off the wall, it disappears. As soon as they put it on any wall, it reappears.
Oh, crazy! That's cool.
Yeah, and it's not due to the lighting. And there's a guy, an author who's no longer with us, by the name of Bruce Barrymore Halpenny, who wrote about ghost stations, like military stations in the UK, and he wrote like 6 books. And he turned up for a book signing in one of my local bookstores because, like I say, I've always been interested in the ghosts and stuff like that, and I wanted him to sign my copies. So he signed the copy, and I mentioned to him about this painting, and he went, "Get me some photographs and give me a full story." So he actually put me in one of his books. So the photographs that are in the book are the ones that I took, and then he's wrote all about it in one of the books.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's outstanding.
So
that reminds me.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Exactly. Go ahead. And that's it. Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah. It kind of came back into my head when you said at the beginning that both of us were ex-military.
Yeah.
But then when you were talking about that story, it just pinged into my head, and I was like, I must tell Tim that. When he's finished talking, I must tell Tim that.
I appreciate that. Thanks, man. I was gonna say in my film, I'm a filmmaker. That's editor is how I earn my money when I get a gig. It's been a while, but I digress. But in my recent film, Blaney Tucker's Ghost, there's a news story, kind of like a news documentary. You know, they take the extra 30 minutes out of someone's television schedule and tells you this story about a missing person or something like that. Typically, well, that was the case here in this narrative, and it was, gosh, I am drawing a blank on who this was, but it's a legitimate ghost story where it was also British. It was I think they were Royal Air Force, and they were a very special battalion that this guy put together, and the name is escaping me. If I can find the picture, I'll bring it up. But he takes this picture of his squadron, and it's like maybe 100 guys, give or take. And on the back row, there's one guy front and center, and he's looking smart. Guy has his cap on and full uniform and everything. And there's this little face that kind of peeks out the side. And you know what I'm talking about?
I know which picture you're talking about. Yeah.
And there's a blow up of it. Someone did a blow up in the corner, and it's like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that guy.
And it turns out
he'd been shot down.
Exactly. Yeah. The guy was they identified him. You know, the picture, the little ghostly face was identifiable. So that's the guy who walked into the props inadvertently.
Yeah. I remember that picture. Yeah, I can see the guy's face right now. He's not stood behind the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
You know what you mean?
I remember that. Yes. He's there. Oh my god.
Look at that! Your third ghost experience. Oh man, yeah. Someone's commandos or someone's squadron. Gosh, that name is
Yeah,
that's driving me bonkers.
and
I have to
yeah,
look that up.
yeah, because you're going to annoy me now because I'm going to have to go and find that picture out now. It's not like I'm cancelling dinner tonight. I need to find that. I need to
That's
find this
right.
picture.
Sorry, Tim brought something up and now it's sticking in my
Yeah,
craw. I gotta get it up. Oh man, I wonder if I could do an internet search while we're doing this. But yeah, there was that when you. It's funny you mentioned that tidbit about saying something and then something else pops up because of it. That's exactly what happened there. Let's see. I'm going to see if the internet knows what it is. This is a ghost photo.
and just for the record, in
Yes,
the Royal Air Force they call them squadrons, not battalions. That's the army.
I'm aware. Same thing for us. If I said battalion, I mean, I apologize up front. Bad Air Force guy.
Yeah. You damn heathen.
I know. Horrible
battalions.
individual. That's it. I'm going to stockade for a while. Oh, there it is. Son of a gun. Goddard's Squadron. Goddard's Squadron. And let's see if they got the photo anywhere. Yes, there it is. I don't know if I could blow this up, though. Because... Oh, that's a... Okay. I'm going to see if I can share my screen.
Hey,
Forgive me. This is... Okay.
If I disappear, call me back.
Yeah, we'll do. Let's see. That's the one. So here's the picture. I think you could see it. Maybe you can't because I'm not sharing it with you. Haha. Let's do that.
Oh.
And it helps to add it to the stage. There we go.
Yeah, that's the picture. I need to put.
That's the picture. And if I blow it up, did it blow up? Did it zoom in for you guys? It did a little bit. Okay. Sorry, I had to keep going back and forth. But if you look, I gotta really zoom in on this as far as I can get, and I'm trying to see where he is. It's like a half a face appearing out of.
Yeah.
I think it might be this guy right here, and there's another face right there. Someone did a pro blow up of it.
I thought there was actually.
One of these guys.
Yeah, I can't honestly remember which guy it was.
I'm thinking it's this guy because I know he had room on both sides of him. Could be wrong about that. But yeah, that's the guy. You blow it up, and there's another face like right there, and they identified the guy, and he died like a week or two before by walking into a spinning prop. Just crazy. So Goddard Squadron, we solved the mystery. You can go to dinner after. Good times. But yeah, it's things like that we capture as investigators. I say we in general. It's stuff like that. Like there's another one I used from.
So
Go ahead.
Tim, I've just Googled it, and there's a picture that the guy that you said in the middle at the back.
Yeah.
There's actually a face behind him.
Yeah.
So,
it was hard to pinpoint, but
yeah. So the guy that's dead smack center at the very rear. When it's zoomed in,
was it him?
See,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a face behind him, and that's the picture of the ghost.
It's incredible grab too.
There we go.
It really is. I mean,
between us, we've sorted.
Can you share it with me?
I don't know.
Yes. Done.
Can I put it in the chat? Can I put it in the chat?
I'll tell you what you can do. If you hit present or invite and you go to share screen, you should be able to show us your web page or whatever it is you were looking at.
Okay. Let's just keep talking because it's going to be a pain in the
Why don't you handle that while we take a quick station break?
Okay. Oh,
Okay,
we get breaks. We get breaks as well.
we
Cool.
get breaks, 80 seconds. Here we go. I'll see you all in 80 seconds. This is the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 in the Gulf Coast. UPRN talkradio.com. Esoteric programming at its finest.
Our symbol, the trident, gifted to us by the priests of Troy Xenos centuries ago when one of the first monster hunting teams out of Corinth battled a contingent of Vrykula that had infested their temple. After the victory over the monsters, the head priest declared, "You are three lances acting as one, not unlike Poseidon's mighty trident of light." That would become our name, the Trident of Light, for the good we did and still do against the dark evils of this world.
Available at Amazon Books. Follow us on Instagram at paranormal.insight. Stay informed on upcoming shows, ask questions, and see what chilling paranormal stories we're following. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at paranormal_insight. Click the live tab to see our latest videos. And we're back. I forgot to hit the mute button.
So did you talking about you? I've sent it to you in an email.
Oh, very good. I'll call that up right now.
Because this is your episode, not mine. So it's like,
yeah, it's mine now. It was yours.
I'm gonna make you do all the hard work.
Yeah, that's fine. No problem. So as this comes up, it's Gmail's being a bit of a poop about it, but we'll just let it do its thing. But it's grabs like that. It's grabs like Lorraine Norman and Lorraine. I just blanked on their last name. One more time.
Warren.
Yes, I believe so. Who were at the famed Amityville house. They captured the 9-year-old who died. And he had those weird glowing eyes. That was not cool.
And the thing is, though, a lot of scientists say that the paranormal doesn't exist, but there's a lot of stuff out there that you cannot explain.
Oh, for sure.
And whether it being with UFOs or cryptids or spirits and ghosts,
right?
There are things that you cannot explain.
This is true.
Yeah. So there's got to be something, but what it is exactly that you can put into a little tin and sell, we don't know.
One of these days. Here's the picture. I'm going to show it. If I can hit the right button to show it. There it is. So, yeah, he called it. It was the gentleman in the center over here. And let me see if I can blow that up a little bit.
Yeah, Freddie Jackson, that's his name, yeah.
Freddie Jackson. And there he is sitting behind his apparently that was his co-pilot.
Yeah, it was either a co-pilot or a very close friend.
Yeah. And he shows up. And apparently he was always kind of cheeky like that. He'd lean out and, hey, photobomb type thing. But
it was even a thing.
yeah, the death didn't stop him from doing that. So he showed up for the picture after all. I just think that's amazing. But let's get into other fun paranormal stuff. And part of that being, there is a... Now, do you handle everything, right, in the paranormal world as an investigator and as a host?
Yeah, kind of. I will, as an investigator, we are currently just concentrating on ghosts, spirits, haunted locations, and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't really have, all of us have normal, boring jobs. So we can't always commit to doing these things when we want. But I also live in a city, so it's very, very difficult for us to see lights in the sky because you've got all the light contamination, and even though I'm facing north, away from the city, it's still really light. So it's very difficult unless you want to go out into the sticks. But I was at a friend's house a couple of years ago and actually had the experience of seeing the SpaceX Skylink train.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So if you didn't know about SpaceX or Starlink and all that, you would think that was a UFO.
A lot of people have identified it as it as such. Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I've got some friends who, one of them owns a company in on the East Coast in Halifax, and they do kind of have like a UFO investigation department. Yeah, and they've got a guy who's ex-military that deals with that. But yeah, because we live in a city, it's very difficult to do everything. So that's why, as the podcast, that's why I'm getting people in from all walks of life, so to speak. Yeah, I've interviewed a witch, cryptid hunters, Bigfoot hunters, and stuff like that, because I want to get as much information out there and get it out so people, if they don't understand about what something is, one of the guests can probably explain it to them and they go, oh yeah, it's that. So, if you Google the word paranormal, there's so many subsections, and there's telekinesis, magic is paranormal. Yeah, there's so many different things. So I just try to get different people from different parts of the paranormal to come onto SIPA Paranormal Chronicles and talk about what they know. I was talking to a guy a few months ago that I'm having him back on for another episode because he dropped a bombshell. He was talking about UFOs and then he goes, oh yeah, that was about the time that I got abducted by aliens. And I'm like, what?
Huh.
You don't
bury the lead, buddy.
Yeah. So it's like, you don't just drop that into the conversation. So I'm having him back on with a separate episode just to speak about his alien abduction. It's like, dude, you can't just. It's like it goes back to the paramedic days. You can't just do that in the middle of.
Absolutely. It's funny. There was a buddy of mine. I still work with him annually at this. We do this haunted entertainment thing, or haunted house, or haunted maze, or whatever it is you want to call it. It's kind of both. And he and I were going on a paranormal thing. He wanted to know what the podcast was going, so on and so forth. He said, I saw a ghost once. Now, you would never in a million years think this type of individual would even entertain the paranormal in any way, shape, or form. He's even been known to poo-poo the whole psychic thing and everything else, and aliens and all of it. So, yeah, I saw a ghost once. It's like, what? Really? Well, tell me your story. So he goes on to tell me how he was, out of all places, at a graveyard with his friends. I paused and I said, we're not going to get into anything ritualistic. He says, no, it's just a really cool place to hang out and get drunk.
Sure. Well, okay.
Okay. You found the spot. I guess I can respect that. Hope you poured one out for the folks around you. Anyway, so he says, yeah, me and my friends, and we were getting a little slosh, but we weren't that far gone. Okay, a lot of red flags already, but I let him tell a story. And he says, yeah, we were chilling, and I had to go to the bathroom. I was like, oh, dude, tell me you didn't pee on someone's grave. So he says, so I went over to this corner. I'm pretty sure no one was buried there. That's like, I certainly hope not. But he does his business, and as he's walking out, he's hit in the head by a small rock. And I said, okay, so something flies out of where you were doing your business and hit you in the head. Says, yeah. this is your ghost story. He says, no. Sometimes you had to egg him on in order to get him to tell the rest of the story. So I said, okay, keep going. He said, so I turn around and I just go, hey, who's back there? Nothing. And I'm really ticked because I got hit in the head by this little rock. So I pick up a little rock and I throw it back at him. I don't hear anything. And suddenly a rock comes and hits me in the head. It's like, you're sure nothing's back there? He says, I didn't see anyone. I didn't hear anyone. The bushes didn't rustle at all. He used bushes apparently to do his thing. And then, so I get mad again. I pick up a bigger rock. I look into the bush. I'm pissed. And I said, come on, come on. So he's agitating this possible spirit. And so help me, a big rock, just like the one I threw, comes back, and I had to duck out of the way. And I laugh, you miss, ha, ha, ha. And 3 more rocks come, little ones, come and hit me in the face, and the head, and the chest, and I run away. That was this ghost story. It's like, okay.
Wow. So, let me tell you about something that happened in November. So there's a friend of mine called Elliot that does a lot of public investigations at various locations to raise money for that particular location.
Okay.
And he was doing a public investigation over the weekend. And this was a day or so before. And he went, do you want to come and help me set up the cameras and stuff for this investigation? Because it was in an old jail. He goes, I don't like being in death row by myself. And he's a big guy. He's like, and I went, okay. So I messaged the wife and went, do you want to go on a road trip tonight? Where are we going? Well, we're going to this jail to help Elliot set up for a public investigation. And she went, yeah, sure. So I'd not been there before, but it was a place that we wanted to go to because we'd heard some really cool stories. So he goes, oh, I'll give you a guided tour of the jail first. And I brought my little camcorder with me, and we're walking around various rooms. And we went into a room that was completely whitewashed. It was being redecorated. It used to be a kitchen, a small kitchen, but everything had been pulled out of it. There was decorators' boards and blankets on the floor, completely sterile. Like, you could smell paint, so it'd obviously been whitewashed that day. And I just turned around, and the wife and Elliot was in front of me, and all of a sudden I got this like stroke down the side of my face. And it wasn't just a touch, it was a full stroke. So I'm spinning round going like, well, it must have been a spider, whatever. But then I think to myself, well, hang on a minute, spiders don't kind of do they'll kind of hit you and you'll feel it. And but yeah, it was, and I turned around, nothing, and I went, right, Elliot, I think I've just been touched. Oh yeah, it happens in here all the time. What? And then we went out into the courtyard, and there's a big stanchion of where they used to hang people, and the last 5 people were actually hung in this courtyard. So the wife goes, oh, I'm going to climb up the stanchion, go up the steps. Can you take my photograph? And where the stanchion was, there was like a concrete walkway, and there's all grass. So I takes a picture, and as she's walking down the steps, Elliot said, oh, the last 3 people were actually buried in this courtyard. Can you have a guess where? And by this time, the wife had come down, and she went, oh, yeah, here, here, and here. And I went, what? And she went, yeah, it kind of went cold up to my knees. Then it got warm again. Then it went cold. Then it got warm again. Then it went cold. And I'm looking at her, looking at Elliot. Elliot's looking at me. And he went, she's spot on. And he went, Lee, what if you're married? It's like, I don't know. Yeah. It's like really weird sensation of that place.
Crazy. Whose wife was this?
Mine.
Your wife did that.
Yeah. And it's like, what the hell?
That's a new. How many years of marriage and never mentioned disability? What's going on?
Exactly. And she was actually walking when we were doing the guided tour kind of thing. She kept saying that she kept feeling like a little child was tugging at her pants leg, and the daughter of the governor, who actually passed, used to follow him around the prison, the jail, and hold on to his pant leg.
Oh,
So it's like,
that's great.
wow,
That's
yeah.
good. That's good. It's good stuff. Gosh. Oh, that's so cool. Makes me want to go there now.
Oh yeah, please go. Yeah, it'd be a bit of a long road trip for you though.
Yeah, road trips
Literally,
are fun. Yeah.
yeah, literally across the country and into another country. So,
Small price to pay.
okay, sounds like a date.
I'll see you next week. You got a
Okay.
room for me, Lee? Good. See you in a bit.
You've got a balcony you can keep on.
There we go. We'll do that. But okay, so that kind of brings up another story. And wow, this is so funny. We're just trading stories on this show. But there was a oh, what was that? Oh my gosh. And now it's going away. Well, that was fun. That's a good waste of air. Okay, that's fine. Over to you, Lee.
So another story that I've got. When we first created SIPA, the first investigation that we did as a threesome, we went to another jail, which is like an hour down the road, and it's got 3 levels. And this was another one of Elliot's like functions, and this is Phantoms of Yore for anybody that, yeah, let's just give him a shout out. So
There you
go. He would set one group, and then another group would go, and they would do different areas at once. So we're on this particular floor of this jail, and if you walk down from when you come into the jail, so this would be the normal route of any convict. You would walk through. You've got interview rooms. You've got the little phone where you can talk to your lawyer or your loved ones. And then as you go down this corridor, you swing to the left, and then you've got more cells and the kitchen and the laundry and all that kind of stuff. A very small turning to the right where it's like solitary confinement. There's like 2 or 3 cells. And somebody actually committed suicide in there. And then if you carry on straight down for about 20, 30 feet and turn left, you go into an area what's called the Hell's Angel Wing. And there's cells on the left-hand side, and then you have the metal table. So if ever you've been into a jail, I'm not saying that you're a convict, but yeah, you've got those metal tables and chairs that they can't pull up and smash people with. So one of my guys went left, the other one went right, and I went straight down to this. And I've got a body cam, I've got my camera, and I've got my audio. And I'm walking around this cell, and the closest guy for me is probably 30, 40, 50 feet away. So yeah, because they're both gone left and right, so they're quite far away. And I'm just doing my normal thing. Yeah, if there's anybody here that would like to speak to me, please make a sign, make a sound. I would very much appreciate that. And I never heard it at the time, but I did it on review. As soon as I said appreciate that, you just heard like a straight after it, like a double breath. And I went, no. So I replayed it, heard it again, played it again, heard it again, sent it to the 2 guys and went, I just got an EVP. And they went, well, that was you. And I went, I'm sorry, like no way in this planet do I talk and then do a double breath straight after it. So I sent it to a friend of mine. Yeah, sent it to a friend of mine for analysis, and he actually broke it down into voice waves. And he goes, that's your voice wave, this is the double breath, and it was 2 completely. He goes, there's no way that was you.
Right.
So that was like my really first piece of evidence with SIPA. 3 months later, in the same location, we're in the same room. Now, I'm at the door because I like walking around rather than being sat, You never know if there's a ghost behind you.
Right.
Halfway down, this room's about 30, 40 feet long. Valter is sat halfway down and he's talking, and then Logan is sat right at the very back, not talking. And again, I didn't hear it at the time, and I've got all three of my devices going. I walk out into the corridor, look down the corridor, and then come back into the room. And as I'm turning and coming back into the room, again, I didn't hear it at the time, but I heard it in review. I just heard like a, and it did it twice. And I'm like, the hell? It wasn't Valter because he was talking. Logan was too far away for it to be picked up on my microphone. And as soon as I heard it on one device, I went to the other two devices, and at exactly the same time, I picked it up on all three devices.
Oh, crazy. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So
that reminds me of the story I told you.
Go on, carry on.
Go ahead.
Your turn.
No, I'm sorry. No, I said that's reminded me of the story I told on your show. I think I told it on your show, where our first case was a test run, and we caught that voice, and it was the same basic thing. But it only showed up on one device. That was the weird part. So we had a camera, and I wasn't that far from her when she asks her question and gets the response. And then a second camera about 10 feet over. I was like 6 feet from her, and she had her own voice recorder. It only showed up on her voice recorder. I'm right next to you, and it says her name, Becky.
That's crazy.
Not cool. Not cool.
Yeah, with these gadgets that we use, and I'm not a fan of technology per se. So people have like the REM pods and the pet balls or whatever, but we don't put them in a location that they're easily going to be hit. We don't put them in a location where if you're using a device it's going to pick up, because we found out very quickly that with the REM pod, if you press in your walkie-talkie, it sets a REM pod off. And we was at a location last July, as in a year last July, and it was an old building that didn't have any air conditioning, so there were some fans. So we were doing a bit of an investigation. We put the fans on for a bit to cool down, switch them off, do a little bit more. I was doing that for a few hours, just so that we weren't getting overheated. And there was a big fan on the floor, maybe like 2 foot across, really big one. And as you unplugged it back in, it set the REM pad off. And one of our guys was plugging it in and unplugging it, and the REM pod was going off every single time. So we don't use these things like for serious results. We just put them there to see if anything does happen.
Right.
Yeah, and it's the same with quite a few devices. But one of the things that I do have, like you see a lot of people using a K2. Now,
I've never trusted those things.
Yeah, all it is a little box with lights on. You've got no way of recording. Oh, it went red, it went yellow, it went green. Yeah. I prefer to use a tri-field, which is a professional device for everyday use by people in construction and stuff like that. So at least with a tri-field, you can get proper readings of how high that EMF is. And we used it in the same location where we had the fan, and we're in the dining room table, and the host was saying, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of activity on this table." And I switched my tri-field on, and it kind of like really peaked really high. So I waited until she went out of the room, and but before she did, I said, "Oh, what's below us?" And she went, "Oh, another apartment that's identical layout to this one." Oh, okay. So after she left out, I went under the dining room table and put it on the floor, exactly where the light fitting was, and it was really like coming up with high readings.
Really
Really old house. So obviously it had really
sure.
bad wiring, and it was giving off high EMF.
Right.
So, like I say,
Gotcha. No,
with a K2, you just get a lot of pretty lights, and there's no way to record what kind of results you're getting. But with a tri-field, every 2 or 3 seconds, it will show you the highest number that it peaked at. So you've got some kind of reference that you can use.
I agree wholeheartedly. And it's funny that the K2, like you said, it's basically a Christmas decoration. I mean, when I had an opportunity to use a tri-field for the first time versus a K2, interestingly, we had both, and the K2 has a really limited range, and the tri-field seems to have a much wider range. And we were at this location. Actually, we revisited my first case location, and the place had changed a little bit. They installed solar panels on all the parking garage units, and the capacitors were all stored very close to where I had the initial experience. And the K2 was a little bit, but the tri-field, boom, 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 in sequence, just like that. And we discovered it was the capacitors using alternating current to start stuff. And so the whole place was contaminated as far as the electromagnetic stuff was concerned with. You call out the case.
It's really interesting because we went to a place in February, an old stately home that hadn't really been investigated before, and was on the second floor. And there was one particular room that they call the library, where the old owner used to smoke, read books, and just like the proverbial men's room as it used to be, and it was in the corner of an open area. So I won't say it's a corridor because it was too wide, and there was a big table in the middle of it, so it could have been used as a dining room, but it had rooms going off.
Okay.
And we were about 50, 60 feet away from this smoking room, this library. And because it was a smoking room, we got a REM pod in the shape of a cigarette box with the antenna is actually the cigarette. So we put it in this library stroke smoking room, but I'd already been around that area earlier in the evening with a tri-field, and there was nothing. Absolutely, If you went up to the wall, even with the light fittings, it was really well maintained building. There was no like rogue EMF going off anywhere. Good. So we put this EMF. Sorry, we put this this REM pod in the shape of a cigarette box about 5 to 6 feet into the library. So we, at the other end of the room, like I say, it's about 40 feet away. We were doing the Estes method, and we had a guy with us that hadn't been with us before. So we're trying to ask him questions, and then just randomly, and there's nobody near this smoking room. People were in other rooms, and there was a few people behind me, and I was asking the guy questions, and he randomly came out with the word smoking, and immediately that he said that, this REM pod went off. My buddy Logan, who's behind me, like, no frigging way, goes over there, so that he's then the only person over there. But he went over there to check to make sure there was nobody there. There wasn't anybody there. No. He starts walking back towards me, so I can see him coming towards me, and it's about halfway between where the REM pod was and where the subject doing the Estes was. He said smoking again, and the REM pod went off again. And it's like, hang on a minute. So we couldn't debunk it, but we knew that we'd done EMF like checks in the evening, so it wasn't EMF that was setting it off, but it's just very strange that as soon as this guy said smoking 2 times, it went off at exactly the same time.
That is intriguing.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's a little baffling, isn't it?
we never say that oh, that was a ghost or that was a spirit, whatever. We just say that's unexplained, and the unexplained pile just gets bigger and bigger because we can't explain what it was. We've got no rational explanation for some of these things that go on.
Yeah, man, I get it. And the same things happened to me several times in the past. On our most recent case, maybe I mentioned this in your show too. We had two spirit boxes going, and they aren't linked at all. They're actually different programs that do the same thing, and they started kind of confirming and or talking to each other. So, bad man is coming to the. It wasn't a sentence like that, but it was very close. It was probably one of the more intriguing moments in my career. It's like, wow, I mean, whatever's in here is driving the focus of these two machines. It's been pretty impressive.
Yeah. We've had that. We've done that once before, where we've had like a double Estes, and the people are actually feeding off each other. Yeah. And if you and for people that are listening, once you get your headset on and you're blindfolded, the only thing you can hear is the white noise. You cannot hear the people talking outside. So when we were at this very first investigation at Valentine's Day last year, there was an option for us to do with an Estes. And I'd seen it on TV. So I thought to myself, I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be the guy that goes up because I want to know what you hear, all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
So I got the blindfold on, I got the headphones on, and like I say, all you can hear is the white noise. So if ever you've been held like hostage on a foreign land and they give you the white noise treatment, that's what you're hearing. Not that I have, but and that's and you can't hear anything else. And I heard a couple of random words that I blurted out. There was a couple of names I think I heard, and a few other words, but I didn't think that it was a successful experiment. But I could feel people walking around me. Obviously, I couldn't see because I'd got a blindfold on.
Sure.
But it was a wooden floor, and I could feel people walking. So I just thought it was the host. Like, she's explaining to the other members of the group what we were doing. So some people do walk and talk.
Sure.
So when I come off the Estes and she said, "Oh you came out with a couple of names," and I went, "Yeah." And she goes, "Did you feel anything else?" I went, "No, nothing apart from the person that was continuously walking in front of me." And she went, "What are you talking about?" I went, there was somebody walking past me like they were circling me, and constantly. She goes, "I walked past you once, and that was it." And I went, but I felt so because I could feel like I felt like the creaking of the floor, and she went, "No, she went, no, nobody was walking past you." Okay then.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Oh, that's really cool. My first ever experience regarding a session similar to that, it was more like I was put into a trance on purpose with my permission, because I wanted to just kind of get a handle on things. This is before I actually launched into investigation, because one of my fears was spirits, especially after that episode I told you about with the woman when I was 3. For those who don't know, full-bodied apparition got this close to my face and is yelling at me, and then I ran through her to go get my mom. Anyway, so I had a minor fear, so I get together with this psychic circle, all men, interestingly. The first time I've ever seen male psychics, in reality, I guess. But a circle of male psychics, and said, okay, we're going to put you in a light trance, we're going to have you do some breathing, and then you're going to go backwards, and then yada, yada, yada. And I go through this session and we discuss a bunch of things, and I'm aware I'm allowed to remember all this stuff. And when I open my eyes, he says, "Look around, tell me what you see." What I see is a person. However, there is more of a outline of a person. Like if you took a person, kind of okay, so just there, just saying hey or whatever, just standing in front of you, and you had them on camera, and you blurred it to where it was that fuzzy outline, and then you take that fuzzy person and you fill it with TV snow. That's what I saw. And it was just blurry TV snow in the form of a person, and they were trying to hide behind a bush, but I could see them quite clearly. It was an amazing experience. And they even threw rocks at me.
Yeah.
And I'm serious, they did. They skipped along the ground and everything, like they couldn't throw very far. It was kind of funny.
You weren't having a pee. You weren't having a pee at the time, were you?
Which?
You weren't having a pee at the time, were you? In some bushes?
No, I was like my buddy. No, no. They lobbed these little rocks at me. It's like they were mad at that I could see them or something like that. That's an assumption. I really couldn't speak as to their motivation, but
it's interesting that you mentioned about having things thrown at you, because the amount of people that say I've been scratched by a malevolent entity, let's call it that.
Mm-hmm.
So I always come back with, well, how do you know it was malevolent? And they go, well, it must have been because it scratched me. And I went, okay, let me put this theory out to you. If you've got your back to me and I call your name, Tim, and you don't answer, I'm going to say Tim louder. And if you still don't answer me, the next natural thing for you to do is go, Tim, and to tap you on the shoulder, on the arm, or wherever. And I says, what if it's not somebody trying to hurt you, but it's that spiritual connection between a spirit and a human that's putting these marks on your arm? And then that kind of just blows their mind. They go, I've never thought about it like that.
Well, they need a manicure for starters.
Exactly, yeah. But I love that it's these kind of concepts that go into investigators' minds.
Sure.
And I hadn't thought about that before until I was thinking about it one day. There was something on TV, and I went, well, who says it's not someone just trying to communicate with them? Mm-hmm. And it's just that the energy or whatever is that's what's causing the scratches.
Could be. Could be. I mean, that makes sense. That's certainly an explanation as good as any others I've heard. And it's not beyond the realm of believability to have an entity grow a little impatient with you. It's like, hey, I'm trying to talk to you over here.
Yeah. Potentially, they may not even know that they've passed. Yeah. Excuse me.
True.
I'm trying to get your attention.
Yep. But seriously, manicure. Look into it.
Yeah.
But there's also I think it's similar to your experience with the pressure on the bed, like someone was sitting next to you. There's that other one where they're pulled off their bed. I've had that happen a couple of times in cases. That one freaks me out a little bit. I have to say, because the level that's a little more than a hello to me. I mean, it's like, I mean, maybe this was an older sibling at one point, or you're sleeping in their bed, or I don't know. You can take all kinds of directions in parapsychology to get at the reason for that. But when it comes, I can understand a tap turning into a scratch. Absolutely, that makes sense to me. It's when you go from sitting in someone's bed to yanking them off the bed that really kind of signals to me that something less than pleasant is happening.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that you see some of these examples on TV,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see someone being pulled by the leg, but there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And one that does spring to mind is there was a footage of a little girl, 2 or 3 years old, and she'd got, I think it was a lunchbox or something in her hand.
Yes, I've seen that video.
Yeah, and she's having a tug of war. It's sort of like, this kid is not old enough to know what a mime artist is, and she's actually tugging with something so that something doesn't take a toy or a lunchbox or whatever it is. So what is it that's doing that?
Right.
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, it really is, because there's obviously something, to one degree or another, physically fighting against this kid and this lunchbox. And there's one moment where the physics really are in the favor of whatever this is, and this kid gets an upper hand at the last second when she gets all aggravated and kind of yanks it back. She's on her tippy toes at one point, and then she kind of leans back into it. So I think that's the moment. If I have to isolate a moment, that's the moment that sells that one for me as being more paranormal. I think
exactly. Yeah, you can get a lot of these videos that you go, yeah, okay, I could create that in like 5 seconds, but then you get ones like that. Okay, for all you skeptic people, all you parapsychologists, all you scientists, explain the crap out of that.
Exactly. Exactly right. Something else popped in my head there and it went away. But there's that type of phenomena, and then there's the one where, and this is the one that always bugged me, and I actually caught a case based on it, and it's not just happened here in my neck of the woods. It happened in Florida. I think it even happened in Canada. It's this goofy looking dancing lights thing, and it's 5 or 6 lights in a row, but they're vertical like this, and they dance around, and it looks like a spider web at first, like a spider web is catching on the camera, and just the lights dancing around. But the way it moves, and at one point, I think in the Florida example, it actually goes behind someone and then comes back. That's another one that floors me. At first, it's really innocuous. It's like, you know.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know if you've experienced those types of lights before.
I haven't actually, but like you say, it's like I said earlier, there are some things that you can debunk almost immediately. And you can say, well, that's either a natural phenomena or it's fake. Yeah, and you can literally put a line through it. But there's certain things like that child video and the dancing light that takes a little bit more like brain work required to try to explain it and what it is. And if you can't explain it, and if you give it to a friend who's a scientist, a parapsychologist, and they can't explain it, okay, there you go, world. Debunk that if you can.
Fun solving it.
Exactly. And like I say, and that's what I enjoy about this, the fact that there is so much that you cannot explain. Absolutely 100% you cannot explain.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. It's kind of the bread, not the bread and butter, but the it's what I want to achieve in every single case I get. I don't always get my choice, like I said before. Sometimes it's rats, sometimes it's that unanchored water pipe, but once in a while you get one that goes, that looks legit. I think we have a real this, that, and the other thing.
That's it. And there's a lot of even a lot of phone apps out there that people use, and a lot of them you can take with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
But we went to a private investigation in a home a year last May, and you've literally got to switch these apps on. Literally got an on and off button in the app.
Sure.
And they're not going to listen to you 24/7 because they don't know when you're going to use the app. So we're pulling up to this location. There was a cemetery one side of the road, a graveyard the other side of the road. We pull into the guy's driveway, and you can see the house is kind of built in two eras. So we're talking to the owner, and he went, "Oh yeah, this part of the house was built in 1875, and this part was built in 1950."
Oh.
And this guy's an author, and he was writing a book on a story about demonology. And he says whenever he starts writing, he hears things in his basement, hence why we were there. And we went down into his basement, and there's like a big concrete disc that we think used to be a well that's now got a cap on it.
Okay.
And just for shits and giggles, I decided to turn this app on. And the very first words that it came out was cemetery, graveyard, 1875, come and find me. And it's like, yeah, this device is not going to be listening to you all the time. But if it and we didn't even mention that there was a cemetery and a graveyard. Why would you? Yeah, there's no reason to mention it. And like I say, as soon as I switched it on, it came out with those 4 words.
That's insane. That's awesome. I love it. That's great.
And I'm like, yeah. How can you explain that?
Yeah. There's definitely some other party at work there, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And we are planning on going back soon, so it'd be interesting to see, for a full investigation, like a full overnight one, just to see what happens. But this guy stopped writing. This is like probably about a 2-hour drive away from us, and it's right out in the sticks. And it's not, it's going to be interesting to see what.
Good times. See what else may crop up.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that investigation of the, oh my goodness, really famous haunted house in Carolina? Gosh. Drawing a blank. I'm horrible with this stuff. I can see in my head real good though. But in this investigation, it was like a documentary, and these guys are there, and they have an opportunity to investigate this very famous haunted cabin / home, also out in the sticks. Naturally, most of these things are. Bless you. And they happen to venture outside because something like I can't remember if it was an EVP or if it was a spirit box session, led them, says, find me outside. And when they go outside, they have another phenomenon kind of hit them, and that is there are what they assume are Bigfoot roaming the tree line, not too far from the thing. And it was an assumption on that part, but some of the stuff, like they got eye shine every once in a while, and the eye shine was like 8-9 foot tall. It's like, could be. Who knows? So, have you ever had any crossover stuff like that happen in your cases?
Not that I can recall. Like I say, we haven't really been involved with anything of eye shine or cryptid kind of nature or anything like that. But what is really strange or interesting is you can see my camera, you can see perfect detail of what's behind me, but as soon as I get my camera and go into the woods and I see something moving, there's a little app on your camera that says set my camera to blurry, because when you take these pictures and you've seen all these ones on TV, they are as blurry as hell. It's like, hang on a minute, I've got this camera that's like perfect quality, but as soon as I go into woods, I must set my phone app to blurry so that whatever it is, you can't decipher what it is.
Yeah, suddenly they have this amazing megapixel camera, like into the dozens, right? And then it goes down to 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can probably read some of the signatures that are on these pictures here. But if I take my camera into the woods, no, that's it. Automatic blurry.
Especially cell phones.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's too funny. I was planning on doing a Bigfoot run a while back, but I actually had Ron Moorhead on my show, and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go up to not too far from where you were when you got your sounds. Actually, it was a bit farther. I was wrong. It's a place called Ben Lomond, and lots of Bigfoot sightings there. Lots of them. So I said, I'm going to go up there in a couple of weeks. He says, you're not going to find anything. You need to wait till winter. It's like, okay.
Oh,
Guess I'm waiting till winter.
yeah, exactly.
It's like,
Thanks for that.
okay,
Yeah,
good stuff.
I'll save my money.
You saved me a trip.
It's like I was talking to.
But Ron Moore.
Right?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Oh, you.
No,
you.
I was talking to a Bigfoot investigator a few months ago, and I asked him the question: if you came across Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever, and you could categorically prove that it was a beast, being, whatever, that hadn't been identified by humans, and you could categorically say that was a Bigfoot, would you tell the world? And his answer was no.
Huh. Okay.
He may produce the picture, but he would not say where the location is, because we both know that in this day and age, as soon as you give out that location, every man and his dog would go there and completely destroy the location, potentially completely destroy the habitat of what this creature lived in.
Exactly.
If they caught it, they would probably kill it.
Yeah.
So, I respect him for saying that he would not release a location of his discovery.
I can appreciate that.
That gives them a lot of credibility in my eyes.
I agree. I agree. Oh, Ron Moorhead's like that. He, to this day, has kept where he recorded the Sierra Sounds absolutely secret. You can kind of suss it out by some of the interviews he's done along the way, but at the same time, no one can exactly identify it. And I think only one interviewer has ever been allowed up there, and he had a hood put over his head.
Yeah, Tim. That's called a kidnapping.
Yeah.
It's not.
But no, they blinded the cameraman, the sound guy, hit the host, and Moorhead let him up there. And then they took the hoods off, then resumed the interview. It was interesting.
Did they take them in the back of a white van or something?
Yeah. I think they went up on horseback, believe it or not.
Yeah. Wow.
Because this place is wildly inaccessible otherwise.
But rightly so. Yeah, you have to protect what you're investigating.
Agreed.
I think we both know that even in the paranormal investigation world, there's two kinds of groups. There's the groups that go out for, as we call it, shits and giggles, and they go out with the intention to getting scared. So ghost stories, or they'll make people jump and all that. And then there's the paranormal investigator that is doing it for the right reasons to help the client, regardless of the outcome. Even if it's a rodent problem, you are still helping the client. The client might be disappointed as hell, but at the end of the day, you can rest your heart. It's not a paranormal in nature. You've got a rodent problem.
Exactly.
And these kind of people are the ones that should be taken seriously, and not the proverbial ghost hunters that just want to go out there and get scared.
Oh, not only that. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we've all seen them on the internet. They post their little cases and they scream at every little thing. That's professional. Yeah, I'd hire them. But it's just like you said. There are those two categories, and the reason, am I disappointed when it's a rat or a pipe? Sure. But that doesn't matter. I gave peace of mind to my client. I think that's 100%. What matters.
100%.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. So we have 5 minutes. Oh, you know what? We're not doing a live show. I was just going to ask the chat, do you have any questions for us? Sorry, so used to doing the live shows. But
Make them
So
up.
yeah, we
Make
have
it
a
up.
few minutes.
Make it up.
But,
Make it up.
okay. Bob says. But when you got into this, and again, kudos to you for always being in service to others, from your military career to now. When you got into this, what did you find was your largest challenge as far as, getting people to not only accept your answers, because a lot of people don't like the answers. You say it's rats, and they say, no, it isn't. I've gotten to that argument a few times. It's like, I promise you, it's rats. I'll show you the droppings. I could show you where they nibbled on the wires and stuff like that.
We had an incident where this girl was absolutely adamant that she'd got ghosts in a house, and we turned up on location, and she was walking around the house going, "Oh, there's one, there's one, there's one." I'm like, what are you using on your phone? She went, Snapchat. And there's like tumbleweeds. That's all right. She goes, yeah, I'm using the filter. I went, you do realise that filter is designed to make anything into like a human form, rabbit ears or whatever.
Sure.
And I said, she goes, but there's something on the sofa. I said, yeah, it's trying to make a face out of the crease in the sofa. There's nothing there. And Snapchat is not a paranormal app. You're just using an app that's got all these different formats on it to make people's faces into cats and rabbits and dogs, and it is not used for paranormal activity. And she wouldn't have it. She goes, no, I don't believe you. Okay then. But yeah.
Good thing we're not charging you.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's it. Is it? Yeah. The fact that, like I say, would we be disappointed if we didn't find anything? 100%. But if we did find something, these people that go out there with the intention of being scared, if they found something, potentially they would make it worse than what it actually is. Where if we find that there's poltergeist activity, we see it with our own eyes, then we're probably going to stop the investigation and find out what's causing it and why. We're not going to go, this is cool, let's try and antagonize it and see if it can throw a brick at us.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Please throw rocks at me. Throw stuff at me, please. Oh, my gosh. The other thing that bugs me, and it's mostly, I blame the television shows, because I think the producers step in and say, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? Try this. And the talent or the would-be investigators or whoever they happen to be, they're kind of suckered into it, and they have to get aggravated. I mean, they go for aggravation immediately, and it's just the wrong move. I mean, we were saying earlier, we're facepalming all the time when we watch these shows.
Exactly. And when I told a friend of mine that I was doing this about 18 months ago, and he went, oh, it's all bull. And I went, oh, so you've got proof of that, have you? He goes, well, what do you mean? I went, well, you've obviously done your own research and you proved that it doesn't exist. And he went, no. So why do you say it's bull? Well, I don't believe in it. I went, just because you don't believe in it doesn't mean it's bull. Yeah, I may not believe in Christ, but it doesn't mean that there's not a spiritual entity. That's a religious. And he went, well, can you prove it does exist? And I went, no. So why do you do it? Because we want to prove, or we try to prove, it does exist.
Exactly right.
If we can prove that it's not of a paranormal nature, then we can take that away from the equation. If we can't prove that if it is a paranormal, or if it's not a paranormal, if it's a natural phenomenon, I should say, if we can debunk that, then we can put that person's mind at rest, and we can tell them, yes, it's not of a paranormal nature. However, you need to get A, B, C, and D fixed, because that's what's causing it. If we cannot debunk it, then we have to look into it further. And it's not just 3 or 4 hour like investigation, you need to be on site for days. And the owners need to log every single incident that happens. If they can record it, and we need to build up a complete like catalogue of everything that's happened, and then we can go through it with like a fine-tooth comb to say, okay, we can debunk this. That's going to be pipes. This could be a car horn or whatever. And so then we narrow it down, but we go, okay, we cannot prove or deny this little bit of information. And I think that's what a lot of people have got to do.
I couldn't agree more. And I follow a very similar regimen, box, what have you, for my investigations as well, as does my team. Well, Lee, it is 2 hours, and I don't want to make you late for dinner.
Too late.
Darn it. So with that, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Absolute pleasure. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been like a fireside chat.
Indeed. I like it. Lee, thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching and listening. My name is Tim Sudano. This is Paranormal Insight. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to discuss on the show, please email us at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com.